This show is part of the Transpodcaster Visibility Initiative.
All right, guys, and as always, welcome to, of course, Sasha's Podcast of Darkness, Sasha After Dark. Would normally do camera today, but if y'all haven't figured out, I live in the great state of Pennsylvania where we had winter forever, and we just skipped over spring, and now it's suddenly summer. So hair and makeup just didn't seem appropriate today. But with us today, we have some of our usual wingnuts. We've got with us, of course, our good pally, Tannen Paul. Tannen, do a little introduction on yourself, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, sure. My name's Tannen. I'm a co-host of The Reset Button, a show that's on Epic TFD with my friend Travis. And I'm also a pretty big Star Wars nut, and may the 4th be with us all as of about an hour. Other than that, yeah, I don't know. Gamer, kind of a dork, and a pawnbroker. And that's what I am.
And Tannen, where can they find you and Travis's show?
You can check us out. It's you can check us out. Me out on Twitter at otannensbum at Twitter. Though good luck seeing me on there. I still haven't gotten the app for my new phone yet. But you can check us out. Hibiki TMD is our channel. It's mainly Travis's channel. And the Reset Button, as I said, is our show. That is on that channel. It's, just type in the Reset Button with Travis and Tannen. It should pop right up there. Like and subscribe. We've got a good few reviews at this point. And that's exactly where you can check me out. Also, I have Facebook, but nobody cares about that.
Yeah, no Instagram, no Pinterest. I mean, come on. I know you got a Pinterest, Tannen, with all your little recipes.
Oh, man, I wish. I should do that, actually. Because I have a lot of good recipes.
Pinterest is,
is
Instagram for girls.
Just sparked me with an idea.
But anyway.
Quiet, all of you. I'm waiting for Voodoo Pinterest.
Well, right now, we also have with us, of course, we've got Chris Lumser. He's from the Long Coat Mafia podcast. Chris, he's also usual on the show. Give us a little background on ourselves, where we can find you, information, things of that nature.
Sure. Again, as Sasha said, I am Christopher Lumser. I am the main host and frontman for the Long Coat Mafia podcast, the most hated podcaster in Martinsburg, West Virginia, if not the only podcaster in Martinsburg, West Virginia. We are found in all the usual places: iTunes / Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Stitcher Radio, the Podbean app, as well as our website, thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com. You can also find us on Twitter at longcoatmafia and Instagram at longcoatmafia. And because, again, as Tanda said, no one gives a flying crap about Facebook anymore, or at least Facebook does not give a flying crap about us, I'm going to skip over that. But you can find us on Facebook.
All right, excellent. And aren't you on Spotify now, too?
Yes, I am on Spotify for those who go that route, but haven't seen. Oddly, it's more for my show. It's mostly the Podbean app that it sadly, I won't say sadly, but surprisingly growing more on the Podbean app. I have more followers on Podbean, but no one freaking listens for some ungodly reason.
Huh.
I have close to 1,000 followers on Podbean, but no one listens.
That's insane.
Yeah, I think. For the past 2 weeks, I've had under 30 total listens, and I know people, other than the usual 25, I know people tend to listen, but it's like, wait a minute, this is, if I had longer hair, I'd be pulling it out.
I feel you there. But anyways, today, as you know, tomorrow's going to be, or here in about, like Tannen said a little bit ago, in about an hour, depending on where you're at, it's going to be officially Star Wars Day. But we did miss, of course, 427. We didn't miss 420. We had fun on 420. At least I did. But 427, of course, is officially Alien Day. So I wanted to touch on that before we started talking about Star Wars. And let's be honest, I mean, they're kind of related, because if Star Wars didn't do as well at the box office as it did, Fox would have never greenlight Alien. So, in a way, they kind of go hand in hand, in all honesty.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt, but for those of you out there who have not seen Alien or Aliens, and it's going to be your first time in watching either of these movies, to quote the meme, you're going to have a bad time.
Why is that?
I know there's a cosplayer. She gets very... she's full of sugar and spice and everything nice. I'm going to put it like that. And she, I think, a couple of years ago, saw Aliens for the very first time. And she barely made it through without getting overly scared. So that's why it's like, this is your first time watching Aliens. Oh, you're gonna have a bad time.
That's awesome. It kind of makes me wish that I would have waited till, like, I was pretty much, I was an adult to actually see it for the first time. I was a kid. The first time I actually saw it, I had the flu too. It was a horrible movie to watch. The first one, when I had the flu. I was like 10 years old, and it was like, oh yeah, let's rent this movie. God awful movie to watch when you're sick. Don't watch it when you have the flu. I can already just recommend that part. Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I always, anytime I was with somebody, or if I had, good friends that were pregnant, or anything of that nature, it was one of my top movies to show to people who are going through the birthing process. And I'm like, along with It's Alive, because that's the kind of asshole I am.
That's awesome.
Sounds like something I would do, too.
I mean, my ex-spouse hated that, and my ex-fiance hated that. But you know what? It's like, hey, you're pregnant. We're going to watch these movies. Enjoy.
Oh, my. Yeah, no, it is funny, actually, because I was talking with you the other day. We were saying out of the two of us, I'd say I'm more of a Star Wars fan, whereas Karen, my fiance, she is more of the Alien fan out of the two of us. I'm an Alien fan, don't get me wrong, but out of the two of us, she seems to have more of a passion for that movie than I do. And she could definitely wax a lot about it. But she hasn't sat down, surprisingly enough, and actually played through Isolation yet. Ooh. I did. But yeah, she hasn't. She's not much of a first-person, a first-person base. I wouldn't call that a first-person shooter, necessarily, in my opinion. I call it a first-person survival horror, honestly. I would call it a shooter.
I mean, because there is a lot of strategy to it. Now, when you played it, what system did you play it on?
My first round was PS3, because we didn't have, the next-gen systems or current gens yet, when it came out. So that was the first time I played it. It was really glitchy when I got it. Well, there was one point I was hiding in a locker, and the alien's head, graphically, went through the locker door and was right in my face, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then walked away from me. And then there was another point I was hiding in another locker, but then I couldn't get out of the locker. I actually had to go back to my last save point and restart the game. So that happened to me. My first go around. I mean, I had gotten it, the day that it came out, and it was before they did all the patches and everything for it. But it was mad glitchy when it came out, which is why it had caught a lot of flack when it, originally was released. But,
yeah, I can imagine. I mean, that movie was, I mean, the game itself was creepy. I personally experienced it on the PS4, because I was an early adopter of the PS4. And it took me forever to get a camera. And one thing I'll tell you now, if you're playing it either on Xbox 360 with Kinect, or the PS3 with Move, or PS4 with the camera attached, you're fucked. Like the alien.
Oh yeah, it picks up on every little sound in the background.
Yes, the alien will
dog
come
barks,
at you.
You're gonna get caught.
Like my mom will be in the background. Sasha, do you want something to eat? And here I'm getting face fucked by the alien. I'm like, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, no, I learned about that actually going into it. I had read about it. I was like, yeah, I'm unplugging the fucking Move. I'm not having that shit go down.
Yeah, you're like,
if you played it, be like, shut up, Oracle! Stop barking! Yeah, no, I learned about that actually going into it.
But yeah, I mean, it was insane. It was one of those like odd things, and I thought it was really cool because it took advantage of the hardware, it took advantage of the system. It was really cool, and it's very underrated, and it just shocks me. And I don't know if it's because of the shell shock from Alien Colonial Marines or not. Everybody seeing that Sega logo appear at the beginning of the game, just cringing a little bit. I don't know if that's why people weren't as turned on about it, but I think it's hilarious because now, in hindsight, you know, people who have actually played are like, dude, this is great. This is a good game.
Oh, it's definitely one of the best survival horror games I've ever played.
I haven't played it yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. Mm-hmm. And part of me wants to pick it up when the price comes down a little bit, which should be shortly. It's not that I have a lot of games that I haven't touched yet that I should be touching.
I can tell you, our pawn shop has sold the complete version, whatever disc that is. I can't even remember what it's called.
Yeah.
But we sold that for like $20, and it's well worth $20, especially for the complete edition.
Mm-hmm.
If you see a copy of it like that, I'd pick it up. Just pick it up for your peace of mind. Play it when you get around to it, because it is, especially the complete one though too. Because I mean, you get to be on the Nostromo then, and you get to go through that scenario, and you know you can be Sigourney Weaver. And you know you get to, I don't know, crawl around the vents with your flamethrower and shit. It's just so tense. God.
Well, it's funny because that whole gameplay for that Nostromo mission that you're going through is pretty much like the old PC game for Alien back in the day. Now, granted, we're talking about old DOS systems, but there was a PC game that ran about 8-bit, and it was only on PC, and I can't remember what it was, exactly the specifications of it, but, I mean, you did explore the vents. You did get hunted by the alien. Not the shitty Atari one, because that game was just a Pac-Man clone, but, yeah, I mean, it was interesting.
Wow. Dude, I've never checked that out, so I am going to have to actually look at that. The first Alien game that I ever played was actually Alien 3 for the SNES. And that one was interesting in itself because you had objectives. Other than, you know, like, you never really saw that very much. It was like a shooter, but you also had objectives to go along with it. So you had a lot of, like, going from point A to point B, back to point A.
Yeah.
To, like, accomplish your mission. It kind of confused me because, I mean, as an 8-year-old playing it, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And then I caught on. I was like, oh, I have to do what this shit tells me to do. So I realized it was like, oh, this is like Metroid. Like, you know, so it kind of was like that. But that was my first Alien game, you know, outing with that one it was Alien 3.
My first Alien game was Aliens versus Predator versus Marines for the Atari Jaguar.
Oh, yeah.
That was the pinnacle. That set the system itself might not have been a great system, but that game set a pretty high freaking bar.
Was that game, was it kind of like Doom in a way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except, you know, you had that big giant Jaguar controller that you're just like, fuck. Yeah.
I never got to own a Jaguar. I had a buddy in the neighborhood that owned one, and that was the only time I got to play it. You always have that one kid in the neighborhood that has, like, the obscure system, and he was one of them. Everybody else had a Super Nintendo or something, but he had the Jaguar. So it kind of livened things up a little bit. I liked that system, though.
Yeah, the Jaguar was interesting, but, like, yeah, I mean, it was weird, especially when you put, like, the disc system on top of it, and it just made shit look weird. I'm quite sure you remember the whole Sega and the Sega CD and 32X where you just kept stacking these systems on top of each other, and it was...
Oh, yeah, and then it became this gargantuan thing on a shelf.
Right? And you had to buy, like, separate power strips for each thing, because, of course, back in the day, every power supply was a huge fucking brick at where the cord plugged in. So instead of taking up one little slot, it would take up, like, 3. So you'd need to have at least, in order to just run 2 of them, like 6 spots in one power surge protector in order to run the damn thing. I mean,
God forbid too you had Sega Channel along with all that.
Oh God.
No, I had a friend that had that set up, and I fucking loved Sega Channel. Like, I was so jealous of him when that came out. Because I mean, if you think about it, that was the first time you could stream anything.
Oh yeah.
Game one, and it was just like, dude. I mean, Grant, you had to pick a game. It'd take you like 20 minutes for it to load. But, you know, like, still, it's just like, whoa, I have all these games, like, at my fingertips. This is incredible.
Right. And it was a good system. I mean, I loved it, and it was very hands-on. But what I think is funny is a lot of people, they give the PC game credit for kind of creating that whole universe. And in reality, like, Alien vs. Predator, like that whole concept, got its start on the Super NES. And a lot of people forget that game, because there was like a little cartridge game. I don't know if it was Kimco or not. It wasn't even related to the arcade game that came later. And, yeah, more credits given to the PC game than ever is even mentioned about the little cartridge game on the SNES. And it even had, like, a partner game on the Game Boy. Like the regular, standard, static, like, black and white screen Game Boy.
Yeah, I think I played the Alien version, the arcade version, once or twice. I don't think it was... I remember playing it, but I don't remember how I felt about it.
I like the arcade version. That was my favorite. And that's something I find very interesting, too, because a lot of people, again, accredit the PC version to inventing Alien vs. Predator, and those that don't accredit it to Predator 2, but in reality, it was Dark Horse Comics that came up with that, because Dark Horse, for the longest time, was like, yo, we want to pit, because they own the rights to do Alien comic books, they're like, yo, we want to pit the Alien against other comic book heroes, and at the time, you know, places like DC and Marvel was like, nah, you guys can't have your Alien fight art fucking shit. Later on, they changed their tune, but, you know, they were going, well, who can we have the Alien fight? They're like, well, we own the Flaming Carrot. And they're like, fuck that, that's stupid. Nobody knows who that is. Well, what about Alien versus Hellboy? And they're like, that's a bit of a stretch. And then somebody's like, well, we own Predator. Fox owns Predator. We could kind of just mash them up. And they just call Fox up and like, hey, you guys cool if we do a comic book? And they're like, y'all own the rights. Do whatever the fuck you want. And I thought it was hilarious because that year in, like, all the big comic book magazines, like Comic Scene before it got canceled, and Wizard, they were talking about that it was the greatest deal ever made for a comic book, and that it was a huge, like, crossover event, and it only took them, like, a phone call. And then because of that comic book, we got Predator 2, and that's why we got that little scene with the skull at the back of it, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, that's also generated to a lot of things, too. I mean, we even had... You know, like you were saying, DC even agreed to have Alien fight Batman.
The thing is, the whole aspect of, in essence, what you said, you know, Aliens versus Predator, at least with Dark Horse, it was probably the smartest thing Fox has ever done, saying go ahead with that. The smartest, and yet Fox has done a lot of stupid shit.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to...
Fox does a lot of stupid shit. I mean, we won't even lie. I mean, again, going back to Alien 3, that's all we got to say about that.
I like Alien 3. Shut up.
Well, I
mean, Rock Roman.
I get, like, to the point with Alien 3 where, how can I put it best? I mean, it does kind of conclude the trilogy. It makes sense. But when you think about, and there was like 4 different scripts that didn't even have Ellen Ripley in it. That would have been potential for a third movie that we totally missed out on. I mean, in a way, one of them we didn't, because one of the scripts got readapted and turned into Pitch Black, which is hilarious, because a lot of people were like, wait, you mean to tell me Riddick could have been fighting the Xenomorphs? And I'm like, yeah, because the original, I'm trying to think of the name of the director of Pitch Black, but he actually did a treatment for Alien 3, and that's what was on the table, until people started saying, well, we need to get, you know, Sigourney Weaver back. And then Weaver wanted to do the movie to finally get out of her damn contract.
I rewatched Alien 3 because it was on sale on Vudu, but don't blame me, don't judge. Listen, at one point, it kind of makes it seem like there were 2 queens, if you could understand that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it sets it up for that, but they kind of explain it away. No, it morphed to this newer queen. But if they left it as like there was a second queen that lived that was more equal human and alien because of how Sigourney Ripley's character finds that, in essence, half-alive clone still on the table, it kind of sets it up for that, but they kind of dismiss that for a, no, this one just morphed and grew a uterus. Wait, what?
Oh, you're talking Resurrection, not 3.
Right. Yeah, I was about to say, that was the 4th one there.
Oh, 3 was okay. In that case, that was okay. 3 was, it was all right.
Yeah. 3 was meh. Resurrection was, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, you should have just ended it with 3.
Yeah.
Resurrection was just sad. The baby alien, too, that was like...
Yeah.
Oh.
And like the Terminator 2 ending where she's jumping into the lava pit and it's like, we've already seen this. Yeah. I was waiting for Weaver to give us a thumbs up and be like, I'm done. Bye. But yeah,
hey,
no.
she still came back for the game. She still came back to reprise her role for the game, though, which was fucking awesome.
Yeah, they couldn't get, was it Ian Holt or whatever his name is, Ian Holm, the guy who was in the Hobbit movies, who was the android Ash.
I thought they got Bilbo to come back.
No, I think he was the only holdout. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Because that Hobbit money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you're slinging around Hobbit money,
The
especially
Hobbits
if you
even have
made
money?
from the Hobbit, claiming that was his likeness, like.
Wait a minute, what was he in the Hobbit?
He was Bilbo.
He was Bilbo in Lord of the Rings.
In Lord of the Rings, yeah.
I thought he was a different. The person who played the. Oh, you're talking the original android or the
original
android in
Ash.
essence? Okay.
Yeah, Ash was Bilbo.
Yeah,
Ash became Bilbo after a while.
Ash
And the dad from Garden State.
Yeah. So weird to see him in that game now after the fact. You know what I mean?
Well, holy shit, Bilbo died? I didn't know that.
Not Bilbo. The one guy who was in the hat that got the alien that attacked him like midway through the movie was like the first kill of the alien after it grew from the chest burster.
Oh, you're talking about, the guy that was, Jesus, I can't remember. He was in 1984, played one of the doctors on Doctor Who. Well, that special that they had, he was the war doctor.
Yeah. That's right.
Damn it, he's one of my favorite actors. I can't remember his name.
I know
He was
Chris
in.
would know.
Oh shit! I know who you mean too.
John Hurt. John fucking Hurt.
John Hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That dude's a hell of an actor.
Yeah, like I said, because he was in like Avengers. Like I want to say it was either Age of Ultron or the first one where like Hulk crash lands through a building. He's just like a security guard. Like, yo, what's up? What's your naked ass doing here?
I mean, he was on all kinds of shit over the years.
Yeah.
Bit parts, main parts. He was just a really good character actor. I was sad to see him go. Actually, that was last year. It was in 2017 that he passed away.
Oh yeah. Yeah, indeed.
What's that?
We've lost a lot of great people in that franchise. Because we also lost what's his name from Aliens. What? 2 years ago.
Game over, man. Game over.
Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
We remember Bill Paxton, but we can't remember John Hurt. What the fuck?
But Bill Paxton will always stick out in our minds.
Because Paxton was the shit, I mean, I loved Bill Paxton. I mean, he was in Terminator, he was in Aliens, he was in, hell, you name it. He was in a lot of shit back in the day.
Yeah. A lot of sci-fi shit, too.
Mm-hmm.
But so was John Hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, as I said, he played one of the iterations of the Doctor. On the, I can't remember what that Doctor Who special was called.
I think it was the Three Doctors, not the Three Doctors, but it was like the 50th anniversary. No.
Yeah, it was whichever one whoever they got surviving came back, and he was the one that was can't remember what number.
Yeah, he was like the War Doctor. Yeah.
He was in the Fault of Time War, and I thought, to me, when I saw that, I was like, why don't they just make a little mini series about him? Because that's badass. But I guess they can't do that anymore. They could get him to play, because I mean, he was supposed to be young and had lived however long, so they could get like a young kind of John Hurt and do a mini series. I think that would be awesome, or at least a movie.
Yeah, indeed. Now, with video games, since we kind of touched on that, and granted, it's been a while, like, since Isolation. Granted, Isolation, even though great game, didn't do well. Do you see any future with, like, any future Alien games? Do you think we're going to see any games in the future that deal with the Xenomorph?
I don't see why not. I mean, you know, I really think Isolation's actually caught steam in the after effect. It's become kind of more of a, it's got more of a cult following now, if you ask me. Because I see more and more people talk about it than what they did. You know, when did that come out? 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
But like, yeah, once it got cheap on like Steam and stuff, more people picked it up. And once they got all their patches in there. So once it became a functioning game that was finally done with the process, then it picked back up. So I think if they don't rush it, take their time with it, they can make a solid game. If they make especially something like that.
Yeah, but going back to the whole fact of, like, taking your time with it, I mean, look at how long it took for Colonial Marines to come out. I remember when that was announced back for the PS2, and we didn't get it until almost in a life on the PS3. Sometimes taking too long on something is, like, the worst thing possible.
Oh, and it was one of the most god-awful games ever.
Yeah.
They didn't even
think everybody tried
for it. They were just kind of like, fuck it, we're just putting it out.
I think I tried 15 minutes of it, and I was like, no. It was just not, no. I was like, nah. I'm not going to keep this. I'm not going to... I think I rented it through the library. I think that's about the only reason why I actually picked it up.
I picked it up at 5 and below. Because they had like 20 million copies of it at 5 below, and like I waited till it actually hit the discount bin at 5 below before I bought it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think I paid about $10 for it at GameStop, but still, like, even when I put it in, because Alien vs. Predator for PS3 wasn't too bad of a game. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. You know, it was a pretty fun shooter. But oh, good God. I remember when it first came out, Karen was like, "Ooh, look at that! We should get it." I was like, "I don't know. I'm reading terrible things about it." So, had I paid more than $10 for it, I think I would have been quite upset.
Yeah, and that's how I felt. I was like, I'm hearing all this negative stuff, and it's one of those situations where, you know, when something's taken like 2 console generations before it finally comes out, you got to scratch your head a little bit about it. I mean, granted, Borderlands had similar issues, but, you know, I love Borderlands, but sometimes...
Yeah, but Borderlands was still a good game.
Yeah.
Right.
So
the original Borderlands played like a beta, but it had meat to it. Like, even 2K and the folks behind it were like, okay, it's gaining traction, let's do better, and they did.
Yeah, they do way better. And what cracks me up is like, with Aliens itself, I mean, you can look at most video games and go, yeah, this was inspired by Aliens. Because, like, Contra, it's like, dude, they pretty much ripped off cover art from every, you know, Rambo, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and then just threw Aliens on top of it. They're like, yeah, we want the dude from Commando, we want Rambo to team up, and we want him to fight the Xenomorph. And they're like, yeah, you can't make out a game.
we got Arnold, we got Sylvester Stallone, put him in blue and red pants. And just let them loose.
Yep, let them kill these weird jumping aliens for hours, yeah. And you don't even see that creature until, like, the end of the game, and you're like, that looks like a dick.
Yeah, a big dick that spits shrimp. This is amazing.
Oh, childhood.
Oh, my.
But yeah, I mean, that to me was one of my favorite, like, games inspired by, you know, Aliens. And I mean, there was tons of them. I mean, we could probably list games all night long that was inspired by Alien franchise. I mean, Doom itself started out as an Aliens game.
Oh, yeah. Dead Space is another one that drives heavily from the Alien franchise. That's one of my favorite fucking games. The first and the second one. Third one can go suck a dick. You know, you got your Dead Spaces. Yeah, as you said, we could just... I'm sorry, I was about to go off on that tangent. Listing all of them. Oh, man.
Alright, cool. Sorry about that, guys. Like I said, I've got, like, ice bags around my router so it don't die.
Well, obviously it's died twice.
Yeah, it has died twice. But anyways, like with the future of the Alien franchise, where do you see that going, like movie wise?
Well, I mean, we did have the newest one out with Danny McBride, and a lot of people hated it. I thought it was okay. I didn't walk out like, what a piece of shit movie. I did walk out like, ah.
Right.
So I think they could elaborate a little bit more in the prequel world. I kind of want to see. I like to see the origins of Whalen. And then people have also talked about the ties between like Whalen Core and like how there's references to that and Terminator and stuff like that. So I kind of like to see a little bit of a tie-in like that, just a little bit more. They don't have to, like I like the whole alternate universe thing where like the machines took over. So in that universe, Alien doesn't happen, where in this other alternate universe, it does. But I mean, there's a lot that they could still do with it, most definitely. And you could always take the franchise too and just say fuck it, like unlike Alien versus Predator, which is a whole other story, like actually make mankind bring the virus back home. Why not? In the future. The future.
I mean, there's a lot of continuity stuff they need to fix, obviously.
Oh yeah.
I am a big bitch when it comes to continuity. I won't lie. Because with the new Predator movie that's coming out, and I don't know if you guys have heard much about it, but the new Predator movie's coming out this September, I think it is, and it's just called The Predator. But one of the characters, and it's Gary Busey's son, I can't think of his first name, he's in the movie, playing Gary Busey's son from Predator 2, with his own... with his own vendetta against the Yonta, which... it's kind of like the us nerdum geekdom phrase for the Predator. So he's going to be in the film, which in and of itself makes Predator 2 canon, which means the aliens have existed way before David, so David didn't create shit. But I already knew that, because if you pay attention to Alien, they mention that the ship itself is fossilized and thousands of years old, which doesn't line up with their continuity to begin with. So I don't know where Ridley Scott was going with his continuity on that, but somebody definitely wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to say, oh, well, no, this is an alternate universe again. Everybody likes the whole alternate universe thing, man. I mean, like that's the way to do it these days, to be a cop-out.
Yeah, but I mean the whole thing with Prometheus and the sequels.
Yeah, I just killed him, but it's an alternate...
And that was Karen, everybody.
Yeah.
That's what, I understand. Yeah, granted, Alien 3 and Resurrection were not great sequels. Then you had Prometheus, which tried to explain things, maybe, and somehow... Prometheus was a good movie.
Prometheus was a good movie.
But it trying to tie itself into... the Alien universe, I think it kind of failed.
Yeah.
And Ridley Scott trying to doing what he did with the sequel to that, it kind of like, no, you're messing with your own painting. Stop it.
Yeah.
Quit being like George Lucas. Stop.
Well, the thing, you got to give Ridley Scott credit, though. He did go back over the movies, and, well, actually, he did. He did do that. They did do that. I have the Blu-rays. I have the Blu-rays with the director's cut. The first Alien movie with the director's cut was actually like the little changes that they made were pretty good. But I still like the one scene where she's going through in the original cut. She's going through the tunnels, and what pops up looks to be this man in a rubber alien suit, just with his arms spread, just going blah, and that's your like jump scare. Whereas in the new version, it's a CGI, really awesome looking alien, actually. It was one time where I was like, that kind of fit better, But I still like the rubber suit, though, at the same time. Yeah, when you're watching it on Blu-ray, the rubber suit is just so obvious. VHS is a little different. But on like Blu-ray on a high-def TV, it was like, wow.
Yeah, I liked the extended cuts for the first two Aliens movies. the first Alien and its sequel, but there seemed to be very little difference in the director's cuts, quote unquote, for Aliens 3 and Alien Resurrection.
Yeah.
Like
also, Aliens 3 though, or Alien 3 had the CGI that they added was straight up terrible. It looked like they half-assed it and got an intern to do it. It's bad. Really bad. Like, that was when the original Alien 3 was like, okay, that was in the 90s, and you should have just left that, puppeteering and animatronics to itself instead of redoing that part.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, like, it's definitely interesting. I just am not a whole fan of, like, Prometheus and Covenant. I'm going to be frank. I hated them. I just was, like, sitting there the whole time. This doesn't make any sense. And what really has me a little irate, because rumor has been trickling that Disney's kind of wanting to clean house, and I don't blame them. It's kind of like, we now own Alien, and it's time we kind of clean this up a little bit. So rumors kind of trickled down that, granted, yes, it made me a little happy, but they're thinking, they pretty much told Ridley Scott to beat feet, we're done with you. And they
wait, Disney owns Alien?
Yes, Disney just bought Fox.
Wait, did Disney bought 20th Century Fox officially?
Yeah.
Holy fuck, where have I been? I knew that was in the talks.
They have to go through the whole FTC aspect of things, but they're looking at by the end of this year, everything should be tied in a bow, and Disney should have all the movie and TV rights. And in essence, Fox right now, as it is sold off everything but its news and sports.
Yep.
So
holy shit.
Everything that Fox had in regards to movies, TV, and otherwise,
including The Simpsons, including The Simpsons.
Oh
my god!
The whole kit and caboodle. Disney now owns it, and you have to figure with all this, they own Fox. If everything is going through, they own Fox, Marvel, what else, and a shit ton of other properties.
ABC, Lucasfilm. Oh my god.
Yep, Disney. Wow. Disney is the Hasbro of the entertainment industry. We own your childhood.
Now, you have to look at it like this too. I know this. We're staying on topic, but we're going off topic too. DC just announced that they're starting their streaming service. My thought is, in regards to this, they have stuff to put out and to have streaming with, but they don't have that wide of a selection to compete with the big boys.
Mm-hmm.
With Disney now, because Disney is considering doing their own streaming service as well. They're in talks, or they're in development of doing it, and it should be released within the next year or two. They, on the other hand, with all the Fox property, all their own content, all the Star Wars content, all the Marvel content, they have enough stuff to start their own valid, competitive, solid streaming service that even a wingnut like me would spend an extra $10 a month to watch.
Well, what gets me is, why don't they just turn around and buy Netflix?
I don't know, but I think they might just
different umbrella corporation.
Right, and besides, they already own. They have a sizable stake in Hulu.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah, they do.
So they might just say, you know what? Let's just take over Hulu and make that, since that servers and everything else there is already in established. Let's just take it over, revamp it, and call it Disney.
Oh yeah, I would not. I cannot see them not doing that. Have a whole complete Disney streaming network. I mean, where would be the problem in that?
I'd shell out the $10.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
It'd be worth it. Well, like also like no, because what it's like you were saying. Sorry, I got distracted there for a second. But like all the shit that's on Hulu, they'll pull from it.
Hey,
They'll
you
pull all the
guys
shit
chat a
off
second.
Netflix.
I'm gonna grab a bowl of ice. I'll be right back. So go ahead and chat.
Cool.
I'll be right back.
But yeah, they're gonna pull. They'll pull all their shit from Hulu. They'll pull all their shit from Netflix. It would be worth it to and they're gonna be smart about it and make it probably $10 a month.
And the thing is,
that would be dumb.
I think Netflix would be a little bit worried, but not too much because they have a decent foundation already with their content and with what they have already either in the future or and everything. They already have coming later this year, all the Monty Python stuff.
Yeah.
So, and there's others. Some people have speculated that Netflix will be getting Rick and Morty stuff soon too.
Oh yeah, they're already doing the whole Adult Swim thing,
right?
And with the deal though too, with them not renewing the season, I mean Netflix would be stupid not to pick that up.
See, the thing is, even though Hulu has the United States rights for Rick and Morty, Netflix already has the international rights for it.
Yeah.
So the theory is going for Rick and Morty that because of them having the international rights, they could just as easily say, hey, Adult Swim, let us pick up the series. Let us deal with it. We already have the international rights. Let us, pull the Hulu rights. Let us, do what we do best. But who knows? This is just a waiting game. It's just a fanboy's hopes and dreams.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, let's face it. Rick and Morty ain't going nowhere. I mean, it's a moneymaker. There's a money-making machine right there. It's just all depending on. It's whoever the highest bidder is on this one.
Right.
I think Adult Swim would be stupid to give it up. I mean, every Rick and Morty product that I buy, you get the Adult Swim logo slapped right on there. So, I mean, who's making the money off of that? So, I think in the long run, Adult Swim's going to work out a deal because basically they've got a franchise on their hands that's right now. I mean, it's almost as big as The Simpsons in a way. Like, it's a worldwide hit.
It's a hit with almost on the same level as The Simpsons and South Park.
Yeah.
Because it's got the popularity of both, and it has almost the staying power as both. Because it's the vulgarity of what South Park kind of used to be, and it's got the same style that, again, what made Simpsons great, but whereas both The Simpsons and South Park are showing, I won't say showing their age, but they've matured in their life, being on for so many years. Here is Rick and Morty, the new kids on the block, so to speak, and they want to prove themselves that they could play like the big boys, and they're showing it. Just that, in my eyes, they have a few things that they can do a little bit better, which can also hurt them, if you can understand that.
Yeah.
Meaning that the season should be a little bit should have been at least closer together instead of far apart, because sometimes it's working for Rick and Morty, but other shows that have done that have failed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that it could damage. In the long run, it could damage them, but in the short run, it's working. That's why it could work for if Adult Swim says, well, we don't want to handle it, we don't want to pay out the money anymore. Netflix saying, yeah, we could pay out the money. That way you have more, you don't have to worry about censors, you don't have to worry about anything else. You just have to work, you can work at your own pace, just let us worry about putting it out there. And you'll have a lot of people signing up for Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
You would.
Oh, most definitely.
Well, one of the things I wanted to bring up, because like with the whole Disney acquisition of Fox, is not only have they more or less told Ridley Scott to get the fuck away, so Ridley isn't going to do any more sequels as far as they're concerned, but they're talking about completely remaking the original Alien, and I'm like,
Oh no! Don't do that.
Yeah, to me it's kind of like part of me's fan happy because they told Ridley Scott to, pretty much vamoose, and now they're talking about, hey, let's reboot the franchise, and I'm like, no, that's a horrible fucking idea. Let's.
And also, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but there's so much to do with that timeline. Like, like in between 3 and 4, and in between even, the game already kind of did 2 and 3, but there's so many years. Like, how long have you been asleep? 50 years. Like, fuck me. Like, there's so much other shit you can do, even along that timeline.
I mean, hell,
you don't have to reboot it.
Isolation, it basically takes place in that 50-year time frame.
Uh-huh.
And what really makes me mad is the fact that, Isolation, the game, spoilers, ends on a cliffhanger. You're like, okay, how does Ellen's daughter survive this? Because obviously it has to happen.
Well, you see all the picture, so... It is funny, just like when I play that game and I'm being a badass, and I just think of that photo of that little old lady.
Yeah.
Fucking shit.
Hell, was that the little old lady from Titanic? I often wonder.
Well, I will say this: if Disney can do it right, you see with the somewhat success of what they're doing with Star Wars, with the Solo and Rogue One, if they are able to give us a decent, forgive me for saying this, a decent remake of the original movies, and they could pepper in Star Wars style a type of either filler, like a Rogue One or a Wayland Industries,
like an offshoot story,
right?
Yeah, like a standalone. And I like the idea. That's kind of what I was saying too. I like the idea of standalones. I don't think they should mess with the actual original movies at all, though.
Well, personally, and this is the way I look at it, and granted, I'm hopeful for the new Halloween that's coming out here soon, which kind of retcons everything else, but, in the back of my mind, I'm like, 1998, they already tried to do this. They called it H2O, and it worked.
H2O, yeah.
But it worked okay, but then they fucked it up with, Busta Rhymes afterwards.
You mean the only black man that told off...
Trick or treat, motherfucker!
You're not supposed to be here! You're supposed to be in the back room the other way, and just walks away. That was amazing. Busta Rhymes, the only man to tell off a slasher and live.
Yep.
Because he was Busta fucking Rhymes.
Yeah, but to me, it's just like, if this new Halloween movie can successfully pull off the fact that, hey, we're retconning everything after Halloween 2, and we're just moving forward from that point on. If it can be successful without them fucking it up, maybe Disney will go, okay, let's retcon Alien, and Aliens counts, and everything else that we would said to happen before it, and everything else after it, just throw it out the window, and get Blumkamp back on the phone and say, yo, we really like that idea you had, where we bring back Newt and Hicks and everything else, and kind of tell a story as to what happened after they woke up from cryosleep. I'm like, that'd be kind of badass.
That would be awesome.
I mean, I know a lot of people have seen the artwork for it, but it's like, yo, they dip into some of that stuff like they kind of covered in Prometheus, and they kind of covered in other movies, but not as hackneyed and stupid bullshit as Ridley Scott and his writers did.
Mm.
Well, watch. Disney does that, and all of a sudden you get James Cameron popping his old head up from the Avatar universe. People are going to get aliens fatigue. I did it better. These movies are going to fucking suck, man.
Well, I don't know if he'd say that because, again, Aliens is one of those, big spotlights on his career. He might get a little butthurt if nobody ever gives him, a chance to make his own Aliens movie, like a sequel. He might be a little butthurt, but outside of that, I don't foresee him saying that about that franchise.
It's something... I feel like he still makes money off of it somehow.
Oh, yeah, they still do. And it's the whole thing with him getting his rights back for Terminator. I mean, I know you all have heard about that. They've already got the new Terminator movie that he's going to helm, scheduled for, I think it's, September of next year. A new Terminator flick's coming out. Everything after T2 is getting tossed out the window. So retconning for sequels is a big deal right now. and he's making his own movie. He already cast this guy who's like a spitting image of Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was like in the 80s to play young Arnie. He's got Arnold back in on it, and he's got Linda Hamilton. I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of mildly curious what you can do with that. You know what I mean? Curious.
Man, they're like, God, with Genesis fucked with my head. Now they're going to do this. Terminator, they just turned it into a mind fuck for me.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, like Salvation mind fucked me.
Yeah,
you know,
I like
like,
Salvation.
and I liked Salvation.
Yeah, I did too.
I was like, we're in the future? We're finally at the future war? Fucking shit. Took long enough.
Yeah, because that was like the best part of T1 and T2. You're like, whoa, I'm getting like 5 seconds of this future? Whoa, where's the movie for this?
Yeah. And they're like, just get ready because the future war is coming. Okay, it's coming. And then we finally got it, and it was like, we got to fire that guy. And we're not making a sequel to Salvation. You know, it was just like a standalone thing.
And T3, I mean, obviously we didn't have Edward Furlong because he was too coked out or cracked out somewhere. And we got the fucking kid from Disturbing Behavior in it. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck, you know?
Which, in turn, he disappeared off the fucking grid. And
Claire
there was a
Danes.
whole mess of shit.
That's all I gotta say. Fucking Claire Danes. I'm like, what the hell? I haven't seen you since my so-called life.
Oh man, yeah. You know, you watch my so-called life. I never had any idea your dad was developing Skynet.
No, you had hung out with the leader of the resistance. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Nobody gives a shit about you, Juliet. I'm ready to like learn about John Connor.
Yeah, no one gives a shit about you and your dad building this AI that's going to take over the world. Fuck you. No one cares. No one wants to have sex with you. Except that John Connor guy.
Fucking myself.
And then to me, it's just like, you know, how can James Cameron say half the shit he does when he's got, what, 3 sequels to Avatar getting ready to get dropped? He's got another Terminator movie getting ready to come out. And it's like, we're going to get Avatar fatigue. We're going to get Terminator fatigue, you know? It's like, dude.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, James Cameron's like, I mean, dude, by the way, we need to get on to Star Wars, but James Cameron is creatively constipated, in my opinion. We've heard about Avatar now for, what, 10 years? Oh, it's coming. Yeah. It's coming, guys. Like, he's like a dude that's been sitting on the toilet now for, like, 2 hours. It's like, come on, man. Like, I really got to go. Just let me, you know, I know you ate too much cheese. I got to get in there just first. No, it's coming. Okay? You're going to get your avatar.
Well, I think the biggest thing with him is that in the 80s, he didn't get to do his Spider-Man movie because, as you know, he had this huge script for a Spider-Man movie in the 80s that was going to be done by Canon Films. And he literally, and you're going to shit a brick when I can tell you some of the people he had in mind for Spider-Man, and even it still boggles the fucking mind. Because I'll tell you now, if I would have saw Spider-Man when I was a kid with web shooters and going, I would have been done. I've been out, finished, you know?
Fucking MJ was going to be Peter Parker?
Cameron wanted to cast Michael fucking Jackson for Peter Parker.
Oh, man, there would have been songs. There would have been music videos. Are you kidding me? It would have been awesome. Musical. It would have been like Turkish Spider-Man, but we would have had it with Michael Jackson.
That's scary. I've seen the clips, and it's like scary and intriguing all at the same goddamn time. Like, no, I'm scared. I don't want to watch this, but I can't look away. No.
It's almost like, you know, you would rather watch, what's his name? The crazy guy with the bees. Not the bees, play Spider-Man.
Oh, Nicolas Cage was another idea.
Or Superman. Yeah, he was going to be cast as Superman in Death of Superman. If that ever got off the ground.
I can see him in the 80s being Superman, though.
Well, this would have been the 90s. Like, Tim Burton, after he got kicked off of doing Batman, they were talking to him about doing the whole Death of Superman movie. And they actually even had costume tests with Nick Cage with, like, a fucking mullet in a Superman costume.
I would have fucking watched that movie. I would have watched the shit out of that. Holy shit. Death of Superman with Nicolas Cage, directed by Tim Burton.
Yes.
Just Superman getting his ass kicked and Nicolas Cage fucking flipping out the whole time. Oh my god. Oh man.
And there was going to be a giant
I love terrible movies. It would have been great.
Yeah, look up on the internet when you get a chance some of that shit. But anyways, we need to hop on Star Wars. Star Wars is kind of a big deal, obviously. You know, we just got through Last Jedi. So I'm going to come right out and say it. I liked Last Jedi. I know it's a very polarizing thing to say nowadays, because it seems like a lot of the fandom was like, fuck Last Jedi. And it's like, I get it. You're upset. Luke Skywalker died. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
I'm not upset about that. I'm not upset about Luke Skywalker dying at all.
Well,
neither am I.
Neither am I. I mean, I get it from that there's people who are upset about it, because literally before the movie came out, where they were saying, if I have to watch 2 hours of Luke Skywalker gonna die, I'm gonna be pissed. So there was people who already had their minds made up before the movie came out. And
I already saw it coming. I was like, dude, he's gonna be like an Obi-Wan, and he's not really dead, dude. He's just growing more powerful than you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
That's all.
And then the bombers in space. Everybody hated the bombers in space. I don't know how many people have literally been debating scientific fact to support a science fiction fantasy movie. Because a lot of people forget that fantasy is a part of this. But they're debating all the science with it. And you're like, you got space magicians, all right? Science that. You know?
I argued that the bombs also have a magnetic pull towards that planet's atmosphere to which the dreadnought was above, so that they were still pulled towards the ship. I made that argument the other day, actually.
But to me,
and it makes sense.
To me,
Fuck
like,
you, there's no sound in space. There's sound in space in this universe, so I can say
you got people with laser swords and magicians, alright? Essentially magicians in this universe. And you're going to debate physics and space. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Physics goes out the fucking window. Yeah.
There is no physics. You can travel light speed, but there's no relativity.
Yeah.
You have like the whole interstellar facts where like we're going to do light speed, but hey, it might be like 1,000 years in their time when we get there. So
I mean, the only
that's going to be like
complaint
2 seconds.
I had about Last Jedi, and the only thing that I couldn't stop laughing about was the milking scene, and that was it. That was the only thing I couldn't like.
See, I didn't have a problem with that either. But I did have a problem with when I watched the making of how much effort they put into the fucking milking scene.
Yeah, and
holy shit. Like, they built a fucking 2-story goddamn set of puppets that squirt blue milk just for that. I was like, are you serious? Just for that? Just for that 5-second shot of that got milk ad.
Yeah, and to me, it cracks me up because as a kid, growing up a Kenner kid, I miss Kenner. You know damn well that would have been a play set.
Oh, hell yeah. That would have been a play set, but yeah, the big-tittied fucking aliens would have been there, and you could have probably put a liquid in them, and if you push their head down, they probably would have squirted.
Yep.
No, guarantee it, actually. This is the fucking 80s we're talking about.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, to me, it's just like,
You'd have kids drinking the blue milk right out of the alien titties. Oh man, it would have been great.
I think the only other things that people were really upset about was, of course, the death of Snoke, because it was like, we're not getting any backstory on this. And then, of course, the big reveal that Rey's a nobody. It was like, we're not getting a backstory on this. And it's like... Well,
we don't, because we don't really know for sure. No, I really... That could have been a bluff, okay? Shut the fuck up about bitching about... The things that people bitched about really scratched my head on it. And the things that I have to bitch about it, people were like, oh, it wasn't that bad. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And besides, let's be honest, okay? The way Snoke was cut in half, and I don't know if you've watched Rebels or the Clone Wars series or not, but the way Snoke...
I watched a good bit of Rebels. Episodes there and there.
Yeah, but the way Snoke was cut in half was the same way pretty much Maul was cut in half. And Maul showed up in Rebels. And then you have that whole, ending sequence where you've got Rey... And what the hell is that emo new Vader kid's name?
Kylo Ren?
Yeah, you got Rey and Kylo, and they're reconnected. Well, even Snoke admits the only reason those two were connected was because of him. How he isn't still pulling in strings in the back,
Yeah. And how do we know that was really Snoke that died? He could have a clone. That could have been his clone that he has. He could have a whole army of Snokes. We don't fucking know. I really didn't mind the way that he died. I didn't mind. I just actually watched it before we did this episode.
And for me, I'm probably outnumbered here. Again, it's one of those that I had a lot of issues with the storyline. It seemed like the person behind it just went, yeah, everything that they kind of wanted to build up, fuck it. But let's go off the rails and do what they want to do. But it's like, when I watch it, it's like, yeah, they're in a bay. There's no shielding on the bottom of this bay. So, in essence, this person's in open space. No wonder Leia fucking survived her shit. You know, it's the space is space. To me, I had problems with nitpicks. And yes, these were my nitpicks for it. And it's like, yet when you hear some theories that in the back, why did Luke fail? Well, he was trained like an asshole. He was trained like shit because probably Yoda and Ben figured, let's train this young fuck, son of Vader, like shit because, well, Vader had some light in him. So let's train him like shit so we can turn Vader around again. If we don't, we got backup. So what happened? Luke turned out to be a shit master, and we got this. So it kind of works out. But
it's just like, I don't know, like, I was a big fan of the EU growing up, and I mean, we even had, like, the books where Luke did turn to the dark side.
Yeah.
And, I mean, and he was a fucking badass. And, what was it, Heir to the Empire or something? I mean, dude, like, he just comes out, he has green glowing eyes, and he just puts his hand up and blows up an AT-AT. And so I was glad when I got to see pissed off, green-eyed Luke there for a second. It was just like, oh, yeah, that's right. Now kill that little bastard. You can read his fucking mind. You know, like, for a second, it was just like, yeah, because I think that is the, and that was the point with what Yoda was saying, was that we are built to fail. And as to be a true master, you're supposed to fail. And, you know, because failure makes you grow. And like, that's why I think they had the whole Yoda come in. That's another thing that people bitch about, though. I've heard people complain that Yoda looked like shit, and I'm like, that was Puppet Yoda. You shut the fuck up about Puppet Yoda.
I had no gripes about, you know, the whole Yoda scene and all that. One of the things I figured out long prior is that Yoda knew that the books were no longer in that little tree library shit, and Luke didn't know that. And people didn't want to listen to that either.
There was a lot of stuff that I think people like didn't catch or pay attention to. I mean, there were scenes that like I really felt the whole casino part was really stretched out. I didn't feel it was needed.
Yeah, you could have just the whole aspect of Rose and like, oh, you shouldn't have tried to. What do you think the fucking leader just did about 5 minutes prior?
Right? Yeah, like sped a fucking ship right through the goddamn.
And not to mention, you tried to sacrifice yourself to save your quasi wannabe friend zone boyfriend, and you know, fuck you. He was, you know, and from what I heard from some people, Rose was included just so they could try to win over the Chinese audience.
No, I mean, I didn't care about having, you know, like I thought Rose's character was good. I just, like, as I said, their little split-off adventure in the casino and stuff just felt really drawn out. And if you actually watch the special features, it was drawn out even more. Like, when they said there was so much footage missing from it, there was even more the bulk of that missing footage was from the casino scene. Had I gone and seen it, it would have been like, I'm really tired of this whole fucking casino part. Like, get on with it. Like, we've got Benicio del Toro now. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and even like the whole Benicio del Toro scene, it just seemed to have gone nowhere. And I'm like, is this the new Lando all of a sudden? Is he going to come back in the third movie and redeem himself? I mean, what the fuck, you know?
I think he's going to pop up. One thing I was disappointed about, because they were like, go find the cracker. Oh, he can do all this stuff. I was really hoping it was going to be Lando with a fucking... I would have just started crying. I would have been like, oh my god, yeah, they did bring back Billy D. Williams.
That would have been the best reveal.
The Colt 45.
That would have been the best reveal, like Billy D. Williams.
Oh, ever. Like, they wouldn't even put it on IMDb. Everybody would have shit themselves.
And I'm hoping he's in the third one. He better be, because to me it's like...
He better be, dude.
He needs to be in the third one. It's just that simple. I mean, especially since the Rebels put that whole huge call out throughout the galaxy for help, and, like, nobody answered. Yeah, Billy D better be showing up with, like, a bunch of suave motherfuckers that blow up, you know, the First Order, you know?
Fuck, yeah. Well, especially, though, after they put him in the second Battlefront game in the plot. I mean, it's Billy D. Williams. You're playing as Lando in the single-player campaign, and it's him, and it made me think, oh, is he going to pop up? Because, it came out right before the movie. I was like, man, I wonder if Billy D's going to come back. And, of course, he didn't. And the man's 83 fucking years old. Like, you got to get him in there. Like, you got to get him in there. Like they took the risk waiting this long. Yeah, we've already lost Fisher. Like, what are you waiting on here?
Oh, and speaking of that, you've heard about all the surveys and stuff, and all the stuff that's going on online where people were having people, what do you call it, where you fill out, put your name on something, petitions, to try to get other actresses to fill in for Carrie Fisher's shoes. And I'm like, no.
Fuck. No.
No.
The next movie should begin with her funeral as like a send-off. And they should carry it from there.
I don't know. I think they did an awesome job with Tarkin in Rogue One.
Yeah, if they wanted to do the CGI thing, they should at that as well. I mean, dude, young Carrie Fisher. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
That was amazing, too.
I mean, it still was a little wooden and clunky, but you could get an actress that looks similar enough to Carrie and just do up her makeup and then just use the computer graphics to kind of spot it in. That way you don't have
the face capturing.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Instead of doing the whole, here's this whole CGI character. No. Let's have an actress that looks close enough to her and then use the CGI to enhance that look. And honestly, I think it will work. Instead of going all overboard with CGI. I think that's where they went wrong with Rogue One and why, what was his name? Trying to think of his name now. Damn it, it's on Peter Cushing. That's why Peter Cushing looked so fake, because there wasn't an actor there for him. You know what I mean? There was just basically empty space.
And I still think they pulled him off very well. They even pulled off his teeth very well, though, in a way. I really didn't notice it until I turned around and watched it in HD on Blu-ray. In the theater, it looked really convincing.
Yeah, and Peter Cushing, I mean, it's not hard to find references for that guy. Just throw in any Hammer movie from the 60s to the 70s, and he's in it,
Yeah. That was one thing that Karen actually had a good criticism about, though, and she pointed it out. If you watch the end of Rogue One, I mean, that young Carrie Fisher was awesome.
Yeah.
But they didn't get her teeth right. Carrie Fisher's teeth, the bottom teeth, were a little crooked, and they didn't do that to the other one. If you want to nitpick.
Yeah.
But outside of that, no, it was like, oh my god. Like, I mean, I said, and that was a last minute addition for Rogue One too.
I'm trying to think of the name of the actress that everybody's been suggesting to replace her, and I'm like, no, just fucking no.
At one point, Meryl Streep was fucking suggested, and I was like, what the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm sitting there like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, if she wants to be like somebody we can throw some CGI on top of, by all means, but otherwise, no.
Yeah, just fuck no. I really think the best way to do it would be a funeral call. One of the things that pissed me off, though, is I was watching all the special features to Last Jedi, and there's an interview with Mark Hamill. And Rian Johnson argued with Hamill like the whole time on how Hamill wanted to portray Luke. And he was like, I had this idea, and they were all great ideas. And Johnson just constantly shut down. He's like a control freak about it. And it really pissed me off because I was like, dude, like, when Lucas directed, he let Hamill do a lot. Not necessarily in the first one, but in the other two, he let Hamill really take the character over. And, so when I saw that interview, that really did. I was like, what a motherfucking piece of shit. Like, you have this man that has this legacy of, taking his character. I mean, look at what he's done with the Joker and all this stuff, and just like let him be old man Luke, let him take this. He's had to live with this, this whole stigma of being Luke Skywalker for the past 40 fucking years, and Johnson just pissed that away from him, and that really pissed me off. And so that's my fuck you to Rian Johnson. You don't control Hamill.
That's what I was kind of saying, that the director of this, just went, I'm going to do my own thing, in essence said, fuck everybody else, fuck everything, I'm going to do what I want, this is my movie, fuck everything. And that's where the majority of the split of it happened, is because, here again, as you said, Mark Hamill, no, this is Luke. This is how Luke was for the past God knows how long, and you're fucking it up. And Mark Hamill was, for the most part, very vocal of how the movie was and how Luke was treated until either A, he was given a shit ton of cash, or the higher-ups at Lucasfilm told him to shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Or else.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And to me, I mean, Ryan went way off.
It is funny, like director of Empire Strikes Back. I can't remember his name. All of a sudden, Empire Strikes Back is my favorite Star Wars movie. It's always been even since I was a kid. Even looking back, I really feel like that was the first Star Wars movie that I watched, which is a really weird way to start it. But I just kind of, that one sticks out in my mind as being a little kid. I mean, being like 4 years old and seeing that movie. And the other, I mean, George Lucas did a good. It was his creation in a way. He borrowed from a lot of things, and I had concept artists come in and out. I mean, but he would collaborate with these people. Ryan Johnson, I mean, yeah, he from what I heard, he wasn't the greatest of collaborators. He pissed off a lot of artists. Artists walked away from that movie.
Yeah.
And usually that's not what you do as an artist. Like, that's your dream, is to work on a Star Wars set. But when you get so fucking fed up that you walk off, like, that's crazy to me. Like, like, Ryan Johnson really had to have pissed you off.
Right.
Now, Tannen, it is after midnight, so I don't know if you want to go ahead and jet, but if you want to plug the podcast that you're going to be on here in a couple minutes, feel free to go ahead and do so.
Yeah, it is getting there. I am going to be hopping over to the reset button here in a second. I do believe we're recording live, but of course it will be posted. I don't know if we're recording live or not for sure. Travis had said something about it, but I don't know. He's the one that's in control of that. I'm just kind of like whatever. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Star Wars, probably some Star Wars games, and of course we're going to be talking about our games of the week. And just all that good stuff, just shit that we do that's really all video game related, talking about trailers. We're going to be bringing up the Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer, which I'm totally fucking excited about.
I hate that title.
Yeah, the title sucks. They need to come up with a more creative title, but, whatever. The game looks awesome, though. Hey, don't hate the game, hate the title. You know what I mean?
It's one of those things that I think comes out the same week as Matt's next show.
No, really? Yeah.
Yeah. And
out during that con, yep.
Now, something I wanted to bring up while we're on the topic and kind of before you jet, Tannen, is, of course, we got Solo coming out here at the end of the month.
Which was supposed to be out tonight.
Yeah.
I should be seeing it already and talking about it.
Now, they've been mum about a couple, things with the movie. And this is something that I've been watching the trailer because I'm a trailer whore when it comes down to it. Not like a trailer park whore, but close enough. But anyways.
Same way, you keep watching it over and over again.
Yeah. And so I picked up on some little details. And I know everybody's freaking out about the black Mandalorian armor that appears in the background in one of the scenes. Everybody's like, oh, Boba Fett's going to be in this. And I'm like, no, look at the armor. It's a very samurai-looking armor. But
The Mandalorians are everywhere. Mandalorians are a thing.
Yep. It's like, and it's an older set of armor, you know what I mean? And it's in somebody's showroom where obviously he might have bought the armor at an auction or something of that nature. Who the fuck knows?
Or killed the Mandalorian. Which is a tough thing to do, but, it's...
And it's nice because we've had that connection that, the Mandalores are still existent in the Rebel universe. This movie would obviously be taking place during when Star Wars Rebels, the TV series, happens. So is there a chance that, Boba Fett or somebody like Boba Fett may show up? I wouldn't hold it against them, but to me, it would seem like, a bit pandering to fans. To me, it's like, if you can do it in a way that it helps the story along, great. But to me, when it came to Han Solo really meeting Boba Fett and the big deal with Boba Fett, there wasn't really a big recognition for him. until like Empire, and it was kind of hinted that Han Solo and Boba, at least in the movie universe, novels aside, that Han Solo and Boba had a history. But it doesn't.
Yeah, a little bit of beef. Just a little bit of beef.
Just a
That's
little
all.
bit of beef, you know. It'd be neat to see like the scene where Dengar gets burnt by Han Solo. That would be fucking hilarious. That would be fucking cool.
Oh my god. That would be badass.
That would be awesome. You know, a little bit of swoop racing. Dengar gets the shit burned out of him. You got that whole setup for the whole revenge thing. That'd be nice to bring back in universe. But to just tack Boba Fett on, I don't know. You know, to me that seems kind of weird. Maybe he could show up in a latter sequel. Maybe we could finally get some details on Ord Mantell, which would be kind of cool. You know, because you know how they brought up that whole thing about running into a bounty hunter at Ord Mantell. They might be able to bring that up if they do more Han Solo movies.
But was that something that I thought that was something that happened between A New Hope though and Empire?
Yeah, it would have been between A New Hope and Empire. Because it's basically, I'm trying to remember exactly what the thing was, but like Han mentions it in passing to one of the rebel officers before they're getting ready to leave. He's like, yeah, I remember that bounty hunter that kind of, you know, stopped us up.
It kind of fucked with us while we were traveling.
Yeah, yeah. And to me, it's like, you know, that would be a nice connection, kind of like an in-between. But to me, as terrible as it sounds, I would love to see a film version of, what's his name, from the Zahn novels show up. The blue-skinned, red-eyed alien. What was his name?
I'd love to see,
not Shizor. The one that's part of the Empire? That's in Rebels?
Oh shit, what is it? Fucking... The one that was originally in the sequels, but now they brought him back to
Grand Admiral Thrawn.
In Rebels. Yeah, Thrawn.
Yeah, I would love to see Thrawn. And you mentioned a little bit, I would love to see the whole crime syndicate with Shizor. That would be like a nice...
Oh, yeah, Black Sun. Some kind of Black Sun involvement would be cool.
Well, looking at the armor at some of those dudes on that whole train robbery thing, where they're coming down on the train, those guys look like Black Sun soldiers from the comic books and all of the expanded universe. I'm like, wait a minute, did they do that? And I think...
And that would kind of be borrowing from, like, the scene where, like, Dash is on that train. Remember, he went to the train on the junkyard.
Yeah.
Planet and fucking had to like deal with them. So if that would kind of be throwing homage. Oh man, that'd be fucking badass.
And hey, there you go. There's another character that you could rope in, Dash Rendar. You know?
Yeah, just have him show up just for a second.
Yeah, and then you could have
dude,
a whole expanded universe. You know, a little bit of the, you know, not so much bringing the expanded universe back into continuity, but bringing elements that we all enjoyed.
Yeah.
What do you think, Chris? What do you foresee for like anything in Han Solo?
Him getting I'm not familiar with a lot of the EU. I've been paying attention to what you two were saying, but what I hope to see is him actually finding out a way. I won't say finding out a way. Us actually seeing how he acquired the Millennium Falcon. I think you guys covered that. I think it was in a form of a poker game or some sort that he acquired it. And I don't think we're going to see it, but I was hoping to see how him and Chewie got together as not so much as friends, but there's that story I heard that was part of the EU in reference to him saving Chewie from slavery, in which there was that, in essence, a kind of like a life bond that. In essence, Chewie was not just his friend; he was a bodyguard in a way, because he saved him from either a firing squad or something like that.
Chewie was getting beat, and at the time, Han was in he was part of. He was a really highly regarded pilot actually, and he saw that, was like, dude, I'm busting that fucker, and I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, because he was part of the Imperial Academy, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, but he was he was a TIE fighter pilot in the original story, and he saw Chewbacca getting beat. He was like doing guard duty on Kashyyyk or something, and was just like, that's it. Like, I'm taking him and I'm getting the hell out of here. And then that's where Chewbacca like had the life debt to him, because the Wookiees, if you save their life, like, that's it. They're gonna follow you everywhere.
And I think that would be cool to touch on. I don't know. I mean, I always thought he kind of met him kind of younger as weird as it sounds. I want to say, in my opinion, I think the Dengar thing happened well before he met Chewie, because he was racing swoops, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the Chewie thing was like, I want to say, probably Han in the timeline that he's in now, where he's kind of like in his early 20s, well past his teens, you know, and he comes across Chewie, and I'm hoping in some sort of weird regard that, like, the train, like that whole train sequence, is him finding out that there's, like, you know, Wookiee slaves on that train, and he's rescuing Chewie, which would be kind of a nice, like, introduction to the character. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it seems to be leaning at.
I had no idea either. It's also, like, the part where he's, like, racing that car, though, around, like, you're bringing up swoops. I don't know if they're going to change that concept. I'd be like, well, you know, let's just have him be, you know, more of a hover, so like a land speeder racer. You know, like, if they take out the whole swoop idea. Because, you know, he is driving that fucking thing pretty rough in the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for no reason. Like, I'm kind of hoping, actually, the story itself, the movie itself, takes place over the span of a few years.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, too. And, you know, it does seem to, like, hint at different big things, because, like, even Chris had mentioned in the trailer, there is a scene with him and Lando playing cards, and I just love the whole exchange with him and Chewie, because, like, he shows Chewie his cards, and Chewie's just shaking his head like, oh, crap. And you can tell that it's just a bad hand, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fuck, you know?
The other thing in the trailer that I liked was, in essence, Han asking Chewie, when did you learn to fly? And Chewie grunts his response. He's like, wait a minute, you're 190 years old? Whoa, I didn't know. You look so good for your age.
Yeah, I like that line, too. And I've heard rumors, and granted, I know a lot of people are going to piss and moan about it. I kind of like it, because I'm weird, and I kind of like all the weird deviations in Star Wars. But I've heard rumors that Mala is in it, Lumpy is in it, and Itchy might be in there too. As long as we don't get in the Wookiee porn, we'll be alright.
Itchy was already in episode 3. We just saw him not as a weird, disgruntled old man and an actual Wookiee warrior. That was Chewbacca's dad, yo.
Wait.
Episode 3.
Oh, okay. I thought that was Chewie.
No. Chewie was there too, but the grayer looking one, that was Eddie Chick, which is his like full name.
That's Itchy. Okay. Oh my God.
But his real full name is It's really weird.
Oh,
but yeah, that's his full fucking name, man. And
I did not.
And that was him.
Oh God. I'm just like, please, anything but Wookiee porn, I'll be fine. They're not just Wookiee porn, Wookiee interspecies porn. Itchy's dad had some weird taste, man. Sitting back in his little tree hut, watching his interspecies porn while jamming out the Jefferson Airplane. Good God, no, I don't need that.
I still think somewhere in the background they should have B. Arthur's musical number playing on like a monitor or something, just somewhere, just to pay homage to it.
I had saw a fan creation of an action figure for her once, and I'm like,
oh my God, I want it.
I'm like, Hasbro needs to do that just for shits and giggles. I'd buy it.
That's fucking awesome. They should do that and do the salesman.
Yeah.
The merchant that like helped out Chewie's family. I mean, why not? That other old man that was in like a billion things in the 70s and 80s.
You know that role was originally supposed to be Lando?
Really?
Yes, the merchant was actually supposed to be Lando, but I can't remember if they couldn't get Billy D. Williams, so they kind of just changed it. But to me, I'm like, that's fucking really cool if they would have integrated Billy D. Williams into that.
It would have made much sense though when he shows up. When he shows up, he's just, got a lot of nerve coming back here after what you pulled.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, Han, what did you do on Life Day?
Oh, God. There needs to be a reference to Life Day, at least. Just so us hardcore fans can die laughing.
I'm sure there's got to be in Solo. There's got to be a reference to Life Day at some point.
I just want to think that little crystal ball and like Chewie and them walking into the void. And no Carrie Fisher musical number. Dear God, I love Carrie Fisher, but no, singing was not your forte, sweetheart. Sorry.
Oh man, but they were all coked out. I mean, It was just a big coked out, like, what the fuck is going on fest. And then the cart, you know, like, bringing up, though, the animated series, the best part of it, we all know what it is the, or bringing up this Christmas special, is the animated part.
Yeah, Boba Fett.
But it's so damn weird. Like, the art form in it was so fucking weird.
What was their name? Nelvina? It's a French company. Because they did the animation for both droids later on, which makes sense because they did the Christmas special, and then they also did Ewoks animation. It's the one with,
I thought Ewoks was a Japanese company that did that one.
No, it was Nelvana. It was a French company, and that's why the artwork looks so weird and the stylings are so weird. In fact, droids even had a crossover with Ewoks, and few people got to see it.
No, I didn't know about that.
Hell, speaking of Ewoks, and this is something that just out of the side of my mind I was thinking of the other day. I'm quite sure you remember Ewoks, the TV movie, and then the second one, which I think was Caravan of Courage, which was also an Ewoks movie. With
Wilford Brimley.
Yeah, I've often wondered, as weird as it sounds, and maybe I'm way off base here, but I often wondered if Willow, the movie Willow, wasn't a rejected script for a third Ewoks movie.
Ooh.
That's what I was hearing. That's what I heard. Because some people were saying that it was supposed to take place in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Wow.
And to me, I'm like, you know, could you imagine Lucas hands over the script for a third Ewok movie, and they're like, this is too good for fucking TV. Fuck
yeah, dude. There's a baby and a sorcerer and all this shit. No. And we'll just have we'll finally get Warwick Davis to not have to wear a teddy bear outfit.
Exactly. And you bet Warwick Davis was like, fuck yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm still disappointed he's not doing the new Leprechaun movie. To me, it's just like, man, what the fuck, sci-fi? It makes no sense.
He's getting up there, though. I mean, he's like 70-something at this point?
Yeah, but he was pissed when they did, what was it called? Leprechaun Origins, and they're like, he's like, yo, that movie fucking sucked. And he's like, number two, why didn't y'all at least get me to show up in a cameo? He's like, throw me a fucking bone, you know?
And then he refuses to do the new one.
Yeah, to me it's like, to me I would have been like, that's the first person I would have gotten on the horn. You're like, yo, Warwick, you want to play the Leprechaun again? Because you were fucking awesome in the movies. I mean, rapping and dancing and all kinds of crazy shit. Fucking A.
Well, I can understand the aspect of him not wanting to show up for anything past the origins. Like, hey, you don't want to throw me a bone. Now you want to throw me a bone? Oh, fuck you.
No, especially sci-fi. If it's a Sci-Fi Channel movie, not hard pass.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that whole, the Tremors thing. I mean, I loved the new Tremors movie the other night. Me and Chris both watched it. I thought it was pretty decent. Chris is kind of pretty much, right?
Yeah.
But it just kind of makes me wonder why, Sci-Fi is like, yeah, we're taking a hard pass after shooting a pilot. I'm like, how bad of a nightmare can this be if it's got Kevin Bacon in it? I'm like, yo, I want to watch this now.
But then again, it's the Sci-Fi Channel. It's the Sci-Fi Channel.
Wait, was it a remake or was it a new sequel?
It was going to be a TV series. Granted, Sci-Fi already did a TV series.
Yeah, I was about to say there was already one without Kevin Bacon.
But this would have been Kevin Bacon, and it would have retconned everything out from 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It would have took place immediately after
and the TV series that they did with the dad from Family Ties.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, damn.
Retconned all that out, and it would have been about Kevin Bacon being a recovering alcoholic with a hero's complex whose wife and kid has left him, which is kind of cool because the kid shows up in part 6, which was kind of awesome. But basically, his wife and his kid left him, and Perfection starts to have another graboid problem again, and he's got to sober up and fly straight. You know what I mean? And it seemed like it'd be an interesting, kind of like a character-driven story, but I'm like, how long could this last for a fucking series? You know what I mean? I mean, the first series didn't even work in the late 90s, early 2Ks.
Yeah, but it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun. It lasted 2 seasons.
Yeah,
but the thing is,
you had Christopher Lloyd, you know.
I love the series that they initially put out, But and it lasts, like you said, like a season or two. But the problem with that is Sci-Fi decided, oh, we have episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 through 8 right now. Let's put them all in a hat. Whichever one we pick out first, that's what we're going to air first. That's what happened. That's why you got some episodes that seem to not really make sense until after another episode aired. It's like, why are they dealing with these?
Because they did it out of order. I got it. That's crazy.
That's what happened, is because they didn't. It's like, oh, this machine is acting up again. They didn't introduce the machine, and all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, they introduced the machine. The hell!
That's
and I find out later, after it's canceled, that they aired everything out of order, for the exception of maybe the pilot.
Yeah, that's why Firefly failed, and a lot of people don't know that. They started out the whole Firefly series with the train robbery episode, and it's like, the fuck, you know? It's like, that doesn't make any sense, because the train robbery episode was like the 3rd or 4th episode in Firefly.
They did the same thing to Clark's the Animated Series.
Yep.
They started with the 3rd episode. And that's why, like, when they made the jokes about what happened in the last 2 episodes, nobody got it.
Yeah. Ugh, to me it's just like, it makes no sense, and yeah, that's just the way TV is. Now, the next big rumor I want to touch on before we kill it for the night is there's been talks about a live-action Star Wars TV series. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's been in talks for a while. Even George Lucas was at a helm at it for a second. He wanted to do it. I believe it was shortly after Episode 3. About 2009, he was talking about wanting to do it. It really got close to actually getting shot into a pilot, and then it, of course, got shot down, obviously. And then, long story short, George Lucas sells everything to Disney. I like the idea of it because there's so much you could do with the series, with the live action series. I mean, look at Rebels and what they did with Clone Wars, but the thing with George's idea was to not have the series not have anything at all to do with the characters of the main series. Yeah, maybe sometimes one would pop up, kind of like how Rebels is, but now like Rebels is really integrated, with the main story. But his thing was he really wanted to do standalone stories. And, I mean, I think no matter how you do it, it would be great. It would be great if they made it an episodic thing. It would be awesome if they made it like, even like Explorers of the Outer Rim and stuff, like planets that were undiscovered, and kind of take a Star Trek vibe to it. There's just so much you could do with it. You could also make it just an episodic thing where it's just a short story every week. But, it's I think it's a good idea. Why the fuck not? Why wouldn't you? I mean, you're going to make money off of it.
Yeah, but like with the budget and effects nowadays, I mean, could you really do it?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
you know they would get the budget. You know they would get the budget. This is Disney we're talking about.
Yeah, true.
And the thing is, you do have decent special effects based shows out there, so it could work on the cheap. But the thing is, if they do it kind of like an Explorers type of ordeal, a lot of people you're going to bias the fans anywhere. I mean, the old school fans, the ones that, how dare you put Star Trek in my Star Wars? How dare those old school motherfuckers that hate, the real fuckers like me. It's like, what? You like Star Wars? You like Star Wars? All right, friends. What? You like Star Trek? Come here, motherfucker. I want to kick your ass. You dorky motherfucking red shirt wearing asshole. I'm gonna kick your ass.
Somebody's watched Fanboys a couple times.
I was just saying that, like, there's parts of the galaxy that are still unexplored, and they even admit that in the new books. Like, there's planets that nobody knows about, So you could even make that into a thing. I mean, the Empire was exploring them there at one point in one of the books. Even where Luke was, that's why nobody knew to go and look for him there, because it wasn't really on a map.
Well, would you explore, like, would you be, the best way I can put it is, would you try to go into the current time frame, like the mess Marvel tried to do with their series, or would you try to set it way before the trilogies, or well after the series? I mean, how would you do it?
I mean, how you could do it during. Why not? I mean, because a big part of like a lot of the EU, there was one book, I can't remember what it was. They even touched upon it, was when Emperor Palpatine was the Empire. He sent out all these places to scout these other planets just to fucking like get them part of the galaxy. And that's why like there was other species that were discovered and everything too. Like he was like actually at the helm of it during that time, so you could do it during the original trilogy. And like, just I mean, just God knows, there's just so much you could do with the Star Wars series, though. I mean, hell, like even in the books, they've, I don't know if you guys have ever read Death Troopers. I mean,
yeah, I read this one.
Fucking awesome book. So I mean, there's even shit you could do with that, like kind of like make a horror episode. Why not? Why the fuck not?
Yeah, they actually did a whole series of novels that was Star Wars based that was all horror.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that could be interesting, but to me it's like, do you try to have these characters that people are familiar with show up on occasion? I mean, to me it just seems kind of weird because the universe is vast, and it's not like you're going to run into these people all the time, but, would you bring that in a way, or would you just kind of skim over that and just kind of make it its own thing?
I mean, why not? I mean, you could go in any direction, or you could take like, some people are clamoring for a Darth Maul movie. Why don't we just make a Darth Maul series?
Well, we already did that with Rebels, but still.
Oh no, they did a sequel. I'm talking about before you get through his training and shit.
Oh, you mean like the fake trailer that IGN put up a while back?
Yeah, well, why not? That looked exciting. That's a good concept. And just with the series, there's so much you could do. You could do like a Tales series, like how they had Tales from the Cantina, Tales of the Bounty Hunter. You could do a series like that, and just make each like thing just a little mini series. I just, I like the idea of it. Some of it might suck, some of it might be great. I'd still watch it.
Yeah.
A good concept is it could be, as Tannen said, that it could be either around, if you put it near the original trilogy, it could work. Just think of it like this. You could even have one or two members of the Jedi actually on it that they were so far out exploring as representatives on their ship, so far out, Order 66 did not reach them yet.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Or like they didn't even hear Order 66 affected everybody, but since they were just two Jedis repping on this ship, just a general explorer ship that the Jedi Council said, you know what, this ship is going out to explore the Beyond the Rim. So let's see if we could, does the Force really go out that far? Go out there. So in essence, they were overlooked by Order 66 by sheer fluke and luck. The fans will go, if they work it right, they will go ballistic. Was the Force a part of them being put on that ship?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea.
And I know, like, a lot of people,
like literally anything though. When you say live action like series, I mean, fuck, you could do like, you could even take it and make it like a sitcom comedy thing, but it's like The Office, but it's people working on the Death Star, just doing menial shit every damn day.
Didn't you hear about that? Like, aside from like the little like stuff that they do on Robot Chicken, Seth Green and a couple other writers got roped in to do like a comedy show on Cartoon Network, and there's a couple episodes out there that are floating around that was like all computer animated, and it was just humor that was based in the Star Wars universe. And for some odd reason, Disney, and I guess it was during the whole acquisition with Disney and everything else, that they're like, yeah, we got these 3 or 4 episodes and nothing's ever came of it, but they exist.
I want to find that.
Yeah,
I want to see that.
Yeah, and apparently it was hilarious, but there was a lot of input from Lucas, and some of the stuff you could tell what Seth Green and his friends were involved in because it's fucking funny, and then you can tell the stuff that Lucas was involved in, and you're like, yeah, no. But yeah, that did exist. But no, I mean, I think what a lot of friends would like, a lot of fans would like to see.
Star Wars Detours is what that's called.
Yes. Yes, and it was like a comedic thing, and yeah, it didn't get very far. But no, I think what a lot of fans would like to see is because, you know, we were promised that one video game that never happened, and to me, I hold out hope that it was a Boba Fett game, and that's why it got canceled, because everybody wants to do movies and TV shows. Like, the life of Boba Fett, just to follow him growing up, learning how to be a bounty hunter, how he acquires his armor, you know, the Wookiee scalps, everything else. I mean, at least it would give us...
being a poor fucking orphan.
Yeah. And they've touched on some of it, like, in Rebels, they've touched on it a little bit in Clone Wars. But to me, it's like, you know, there's a whole chapter of his life that we're missing. We're missing his, like, teenage years and his 20s and his 30s, where he's just building the reputation of the most badass bounty hunter in space. And I'm like, you know, that would bring you to different planets. Or you can do, what was those games called? Old Republic or whatever it was? You could do that.
Yeah, that's a whole other, I mean, that's a big shit ton of stuff that you could get into.
Because they basically said all of that stuff isn't canon now. They're like, nope, fuck it, it's gone. And it's like, so many people were outraged. Though I've heard rumor that there's a new game coming that's set in that Old Republic universe. But to me, it's like, you know, how can it be not canon if it's so many thousands and thousands and thousands of years before, you know, the whole Skywalker saga began? I'm like, how can you canonize that?
Man, I am getting sick of them canceling Star Wars games. We had 1313, which was that bounty hunter game.
Yep.
That got canned when Disney acquired it. Then they started that one with Electronic Arts, and then they canceled that one, the single-player one that they were going to come out with, which is supposed to be touted as the most amazing you can be a Jedi fucking game ever. And that got canceled. But after EA killed the whole the people who made Dead Space, after they killed that development team, that went out the window.
And then Force Unleashed, you know, like, it ended on a cliffhanger. The second game was a complete cliffhanger. They had
complete cliffhanger. They
Vader in captivity. Yeah, it's like, it's Vader's in captivity. Where do you go from here, you know? And you've got this guy who's a clone, but he still has memories of not being... I'm like, what happened, you know? It's cool to see homages, too, like Force Unleashed and Rebels, like that... one Jedi that's training the young kid, Kanan, whatever his name is, he gets blinded like that one blind Jedi in Force Unleashed. And I'm like, that was a nice homage, you know? But are we going to see Starkiller eventually? That would be kind of badass.
I highly doubt it, though. I think they like took all that and threw it out the window, which sucks because, like, Lucas was even behind that. I mean, there was a novel, there was, you know, just like with Shadows of the Empire. I mean, you know, like, that was supposed to be, you know, that was the first Star Wars multimedia project, and that's kind of what greenlit the prequels. Was having, you know, and, you know, you had the game, you had the comics, and you had the book, and they all told different points of views. Like, the comic was Boba Fett's point of view, the book was Vader's point of view, and the game was Dash Rendar's point of view. And, you know, like, and to me, like, you know, when Disney acquired it, I was like, they better not fuck with Shadows of the Empire. And sure enough, they were like, yeah, we decided that's not canon as well. It's just like, you fucking assholes.
And it was set perfectly in between movies. I mean, I get where they're coming from, because they're like, yo, we could do a whole in-between Empire and Jedi, you know, and kind of do a whole movie that way. And I'm like, you know, that could kind of work, because we finally got the explanation as to how they got the Death Star plans and everything. I mean, that was Rogue One in a nutshell, you know? So I can see why they did that, because it's kind of like, yo, we kind of want to do our own stories here. Not that I want to watch a bunch of Bothans die, but hey, I'd pay to see that movie, you know?
Yeah, but that's like really the only story that you could tell. I mean, you can't tell the story about what happens to Luke and Leia and Lando in between them at this point. That's why they need to say that's still canon. The Bothans can go do their thing, because that never gets brought up really in Empire, or not Empire, but Shadows of the Empire. The Bothans can go have their chill time.
It got brought up in the comic book, because when they're raiding Shizor's shipyards, that's where they get the plans for the new Death Star, because Shizor is one of the people that are working on the Death Star too, his construction crews and everything else. So the Bothans do that whole raid on the shipyards. It's in the comics. Because
I actually did forget about that.
Yeah, a lot of people forget there was the novelization, there was the audio drama, there was internet resources. Again, this was early internet, so you know it's shitty. You had the video game on the N64. Yep. And then you had the whole action figure line and the novel. And they all told different aspects, which I always thought was kind of cool because, like, you know, in order to get the whole story, you had to get all 6 or 7 pieces of this tale as it's told. And to me, I'm like, Disney, you should be eating that up with a fork and going, yo, why aren't we doing this?
Well, because honestly, yeah, because the Bothans, you could still do the Bothan story, but not have to have really anybody show up outside of, like, background. In a way. Like, they could still keep that canon and just be like, you know, Tales of the Bothans. I don't know. But hey, though, it's 12:35.
I am
going to go ahead.
You can catch Tannen, if you guys can't find it, it's Hibiki TMD on YouTube, which is HIBIKI TMD. Just run a search. He should be on there in a couple of minutes. I may cap it off here, too, as well. So, Chris, anything you want to say or add or pitch or anything before we call it a night?
No, that's it. Just again, a reminder, you can find my show on iTunes, Google Play Music, and the Podbean app. Again, that's Long Coat Mafia Podcast, and the main site is thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com.
And as always, of course, I am Sasha, the Princess of Darkness. You can find me everywhere that social media exists.
So last night, if anybody had tuned in, I was already bitching about how Mark Hamill had already been treated. But a major thing that I did really want to complain about, first off, I was watching the special features again in mute last night. If you go through those again and go through the Mark Hamill segment, watch it in mute, play Mad World in the background, and just really take in Mark Hamill's sadness every time Rian Johnson is talking to him behind the scenes. And look at that hurt in his eyes and just realize, damn, they really fucked that shit up. But the other thing that I wanted to bitch about, and we were talking about it inside.
Yeah.
General Hux was not a little bitch in the first movie. He was like an evil dictator, smart leader giving very, like, hardcore speeches. And then in the new movie now, in Last Jedi, suddenly he's a little bitch. Now, I kind of understand. The Starkiller base did get blown up. There's a lot to be pissed off about. He fucked up his leadership. But for even low-ranking people to still fuck with him, it just doesn't make sense to me in the story. Not at all. And that was just my other thing to bitch about. Man, what was my other thing to bitch about? There's a major, major flaw.
We already talked about fucking tits and blue milk. That was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, no. And I said keep the tits and blue milk in. I was all about.
I still want my.
Does blue milk come
I want
from
my
blue
Kenner
cows?
play set.
Yeah, like where it pumps out the milk, though,
But it's gotta be old school Kenner. It can't be like modern Kenner. It's gotta be old school.
No, it's gotta be old
You know,
school.
blue cows come from California.
Yeah.
How they make blue milk.
Well,
It's gotta like have a little head pump. So
I
like,
want
the
to
titty
believe.
milk
I
will
want to
shoot
believe
right
they're
at
like.
you.
I want to believe they're like off of a.
The actual planet is called California.
Californication.
Yeah.
Californica.
But no. Like, I want to go to that actual island that's off of Ireland, and bitch then to the person giving me the tour when there's no giants with big tits bumping out. It's green milk actually in the new one.
I'm colorblind. Fucking deal with it.
Oh well,
Green milk, blue
green.
milk.
It's all milk.
It's all coming from a tit.
What are
Milk
we
and
using?
all.
Duct tape, like red green?
Oh God.
Oh no! Yeah, the biggest thing though that I didn't bitch about. Well, I did bitch about how there was too much casino, but when we were talking about it inside, in the deleted scenes, there's this major battle between Phasma and Finn, and that's a deleted scene. In the movie, it's a 5-second clip of like, what the fuck was that? So, yeah, just another little bit of me bitching about Last Jedi and its flaws. Everybody is bitching, has bitched about it. But there's stuff about it that I love. Puppet Yoda.
Puppet Yoda's
Frank Oz is, returned for it.
But it does fuck with you, like thinking about Miss Piggy every time Yoda speaks, and you're like, fuck.
Oh man,
What would Miss
there's
Piggy
other voices.
look like in this
hey
universe?
man, Dr. Teeth. Like
Miss Piggy would be Jabba the Hutt to the Yoda.
Yeah, but Frank Oz also does Miss Piggy's voice. And that just fucks with your head. He's like Grover, Miss Piggy, Mr. T.
Here's a tip. If you ever watch the making of Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, Frank Oz was the puppeteer for that. So Frank Oz is actually doing the voice of the mom in those scenes that are filmed on just regular, it looks really shitty, but it's really awesome to see Frank Oz doing the voice of the mother in Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. I'm not live, right?
No, this ain't live. This is all like shit I can edit in the back end.
Sweet. So you're gonna have to cut a lot out.
Alright. So, outside of that, Star Wars-wise, because you're talking about, like, current trilogy, what is your expectation for the next film? What do you want to see? I mean, I know we touched on we need to see fucking Lando. There is no answer.
Yeah. I gotta see some Billy D. Williams. I gotta see him. They need to get him in there. As I said last night, 85 this year, actually. 85 fucking years old. The man wants to do it, And we've come years since Billy D. Williams' Psychic Friends. I don't know if you remember that shit. But, I want Billy D. Williams in it so bad. Even if it's a surprise, it better not be, but if it's a surprise, I will smuggle a Colt 45 into the theater just to be able to crack that open and be like, yes! Other expectations. I really hope that they elaborate a little bit more about Rey's background. Mm-hmm. Even if her parents were nobodies, well, nobodies still have a story. There's still a story to nobodies. Even if they were just drunks that sold her off. Nobody's nobody. But that's a somebody in the end.
But do you think that was all just like a ploy from Snoke since he was all tapped into him at the time?
I think so. I definitely think so. I think there was a lot to... If he could fuck with their heads like that and be the bridge, he could definitely manipulate some shit. Do I think Rey's related to anybody necessarily? She doesn't need to be. She doesn't need to be related to a main character at all. But,
What about her being the reincarnation of kind of like the one in the Force, kind of like how Vader was?
I'd accept that. I would accept that, even though I did not like Vader's origin story. I did not like the whole Jesus
Space
Christ
Jesus.
thing. It was really far-fetched. Now they're saying that even normal kids, that was the point of the end of this last one, that, with the orphan kid using the Force to pick up the broom. It's that, a lot of people can use the Force and you just don't even know it. It seems like a lot of traumatic shit happening to children can all of a sudden tap into the Force. Those kids are slaves.
Yeah.
And they get beaten and shit to take care of their giant horse camels. And I don't really know what they're called, so don't shit on me, fan people. It seems like, if you have traumatic shit happen to you in the Star Wars universe, suddenly you can use the Force. I mean, look at Leia. She watched her home planet get blown up and shit. She's gone through all this bullshit, lost all of her fleet, and then suddenly, I'm in space, but I can float back. Space Mary Poppins. I did not like the way that they did that. They could have had a droid just come out and get her. Why not? Why not do it that way?
She might as well just stayed on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not, when we're on the topic of about future Star Wars movies, because they're going to keep chugging out a Star Wars story type movie.
Every other year.
And they've already said that, Han Solo is expected to be a trilogy. It's already been said it's going to be a trilogy. But what other things outside of Han Solo would you want to see as a Star Wars series? Now, granted, we've already covered Lando, Boba Fett, and Ord Mantell, which would include Bothas, and Shadows of the Empire, but what else?
Ooh, a Jabba the Hutt legacy story would be good.
But didn't they already get into that didn't they already get into that a little bit with the Clone Wars?
They did with the Clone Wars a little bit.
And even with the movie. That they have with the Clone Wars.
But not necessarily in between A New Hope and leading up to Jedi. That would be kind of interesting. Just see how he runs his crime syndicate right before it goes down. That's a whole network of shit. Like I said, too, they could do a lot of shit with the Tales. The bounty hunters are a whole thing. I mean, you have Dengar. You know, you have, God, what were those two called?
IG-88.
You have IG-88, but you have...
Furlong, Zuckus.
Yeah, thank you.
Even a Poe background story would be cool to see where he's such like a fucking
that's true too. How did Poe become such a pilot?
I think they kind of touched into that.
Oh yeah, well, there's also books. That's all in the aftermath shit. But you could take the aftermath stuff and adapt to that. Why not? Not everybody's going to read the books. Everyone's going to read the comics.
But you got to remember, Disney's a marketing machine.
Yeah.
Why tell the same story over and over again when we can make them buy the comic book to get the backstory?
Oh, after a couple of years, it's going to be, well, let's go ahead and give them the backstory because people are going to pay to see it.
True.
You know, as long as there's money to be made, Disney's going to do something, you know.
All right, so on the topic of Star Wars, because we kind of covered sequels that are coming, more Star Wars stories. Where do you see the next trilogy taking place? Because again, the first set of trilogies and the second set of trilogies was all Skywalker stuff. This seems to be all about Poe and Rey and everybody else and kind of bridging those stories. Where do you see it going?
And trying to be the next generation,
yeah. Where do you think it's going to go after this? Because they're already planning.
I'm thinking with the third movie, the New Order is going to get taken down, and then you're going to have, a new Republic. But like maybe the building of that, because there's a lot of shit that you got to go through to build a completely different political stance on an entire fucking galaxy. And not everybody's going to agree with you then, even if you have a republic. So, like, you know, I mean, the galaxy's pretty damn big. And as I talked about last night, too, they even talk about how there's still tons of uncharted shit within the galaxy. I mean, you know, so that's kind of where I see it. They're going to, like, maybe even expand, hopefully, with it, like, more of the Outer Rim stuff. And,
what if they do another trilogy that actually bridges the first three movies, too?
Like, should all the trilogies be a connected story? Or do you think that the trilogies could all have some connection but be their own thing by themselves?
I'd say option B there.
Okay.
Yeah. But, like, you know, but with the offshoot stories, too, like, you know, like, I like how Rogue One was. I loved Rogue One.
Rogue One was great.
You know? But it's like I said, I wish Disney would keep, like, Shows the Empire canon. Because you don't need to mess with their stories in between Empire and Jedi. You can talk about other people, because there's so much going on at that point. Just leave that storyline and be like, yeah, that's what Luke and all them did, and here's what happened. Like, you know, I don't know.
What if they did a trilogy that was in between each of, like, the prophetic actual...
Or have trilogies that are, like, in between and during.
Trilogies within the trilogy. Kind of like what Rogue One tried to do, but actually make a trilogy of the in-between.
I mean, I say go for it. I mean, as I said, Disney's going to do it. As long as there's money to be made. And they could add a little bit more to their little theme park, too.
And I'm quite sure they could even do stories that take place during certain trilogy sets, too.
Oh, yeah. You know, I mean, I could see it in 10 years we're going to get a full-blown, like, you know, CGI Mark Hamill and shit.
You put all the movies together, it's like, okay, we have a 72-hour watching experience. Actually watching it again.
Marvel's already got that.
That's true.
As much as I appreciate being in the spotlight here, I'm getting bugs all over me for being...
All right. So, anything else you want to say about Star Wars, or anything else that's on your chest that you need to just fucking regurgitate? Anything. It's open. Video games, movies, TV show, comic books, masturbatory tools, whatever.
Not at the moment. They should make more C-3PO and R2-D2 vibrators, though.
R2-D2 needs to be a butt plug, because he always has been.
Yeah. but you know, next big goldenrod, you know, like, actually he even says that, come on, get a move on it, goldenrod, you know, and that's what they can call it, the goldenrod. Disney can make a shit ton of money off that.
And since we touched on it a little bit, kind of to bring it back in, because if not for Star Wars, Alien would have never happened.
Yeah.
Since we were on the topic of Alien, we'll even throw Predator in there, kind of like as a mixed bag. Mm-hmm. Anything additional you've got to say on Alien and Predator or anything of that nature?
No, actually, no.